My pranam at the lotus feet of Sree Sree Thakur, Sree Sree Boromo, Sree Sree Borda, and Sree Sree Dada. My hearty joy guru to all of you. So today, it is a very, very auspicious day in the entire Satsang world. It is the day of celebration. It is the 128th Janma Diwas of Jagat Janani Sree Sree Boromo. So on this holy occasion, I offer my pranam to Sree Sree Boromo. So Thakur is saying about women in general, I'll just say it in Bengali because I think I'll lose the essence if I just straight away may do the translation in English. So Nari Jibone Sharthakotha Labh Korite Hoile Tahake Jibonto Ishto Grohon Koria Tahar Nari Jibon Gothone Sadhana Korite Hoibe. So in order for a woman to be the ideal woman, she has to accept a living ideal which will help her to uphold her womanhood. So one day, Miss Sima, this was a lady from America, was introduced to Thakur by Hauser Manda. And during the course of the conversation, Thakur said that when love is focused on one person, then one can achieve success. But we need someone whom we can love, and these were the key words: unrepelling adherence and unconditional surrender. So now if we recall one of Thakur's profound Bani, you are for the Lord, not for others. You are for the Lord and so for others. We can see how Boromo is absolutely a perfect exemplar of this Bani. So Sree Sree Boromo was only for Thakur. Her whole life, her entire being was for the utmost devotion towards Thakur. Since Boromo was for Thakur, she was for everyone. What a superb example for explanation for our understanding. So we know that she was the mother of all ashramites, and already we know that Anjali has said that after the demise of Mata Monmohini Devi, Thakur actually told Boromo that from now on, that you will be the mother of everyone, of all the people. So in Nari Niti, in message 14, Thakur talks about a few of the good qualities of women. And the heading of this title for this message is a few of the good qualities. And they are the inspiration with the ideal, talent in service, tact in action, sweetness and sympathy in speech, exalting behavior. These are the good qualities. So let me just go back to the very first one, inspiration with the ideal. So we know, that whoever came to Thakur for any kind of help, Thakur never disappointed them. He would always offer them the solution, the help, the service that they needed. We can see the same thing, the same outlook Boromo had it. So Thakur, so just as we know that it is the inspiration with the ideal. So once we know this story, but I'll just relate this very briefly, that when someone was in desperate need of money, Boromo did not hesitate to take off one of her gold earrings and gave it to that person, so that he can come out of that critical period. So later on, when Mata Monmohini Devi reprimanded Boromo, thinking that she was careless, that she has lost the earring, Boromo did not reply. Boromo just kept quiet. So this little incident shows her inspiration with the ideal was so phenomenal. So Thakur did it, Boromo also did the same thing. So now if we go to the next quality that Thakur talks about is talent in service. So we know that Boromo had the natural skill or ability to execute anything to the highest level of perfection. We know that how meticulous Boromo was with each and everything that belonged to Thakur, from the minute to the minutest thing, not even losing a grain of rice. So one day, when Thakur wanted to eat that special scented rice, the Govindavog rice, Boroma knew, like, no matter what time of the day it was, where exactly she has kept it. She took it out and she cooked it and served it to Thakur. So this shows, like, that Boroma's care, her attentiveness towards Thakur. And I was reading the other day in Alochana Prashange, Thakur has said that when there is an uninterrupted urge and enthusiasm to fulfill the superior, and obviously in this case, we know that Boroma towards Thakur, then Thakur says, and let me just read the word slowly, sensitiveness, observation, intelligence, common sense can grow. So from this little incident that I talked about with the Govinda Bhog Chal, and we know there are lots and lots of other incidents or experiences that we have heard about Boroma, all these qualities, that sensitiveness, observation, her, her observational skills, her intelligence and common sense can grow. So in Boroma, we actually see all these intricate skills or qualities, whatever way we want to call them, they're absolutely embedded strongly within Boroma. So now the next quality, if I just go back to the message, Thakur mentions about women being tact in action. This is a very, very important quality that women should have. And if we go look back into the dictionary, the meaning of the word tact is the ability to say or do the right thing. And I narrated this story, I remember earlier. So what happened was on one particular occasion, I can't remember the name of the devotee. He was actually suffering from severe stomach problems. So Thakur asked her, Farida, to look after him, gave him the medicines, and he started to recover gradually. Then after a few days, he came to Thakur and he asked for some money from Thakur. So Thakur, as usual, couldn't say no to him. So he just told one of the devotees, one of the Dada who was standing near Thakur, that you go and ask Boroma to give the money to him. Boroma heard this, and Boroma then came and said that, Thakur, if you had actually asked me to give the money to someone else, I would have given it to you, but not to this particular Dada, because we know, and also you know what he will do. He will just take the money and he will buy some food from outside. He will eat it and then again go back to where he was, again start with his stomach problems because he hasn't actually recovered fully. And Thakur actually accepted this. See, that's why Thakur says the tact in action. And over here we see Boroma's ability to say or to do the right thing at the right moment. So this remarkable, there is a message in Nari Niti, message number 15, where Thakur says, the woman who being humble expresses her own opinion with respect, not making anyone feel inferior thereby, becomes easily lovable and is held in high regard. And we know the respect and the reverence, the love that Boroma actually cherished from everyone. So almost these Banis are absolutely a perfect exemplar of Boroma herself. The next quality that Thakur talks about is the sweetness and sympathy in speech. So once when Thakur was sitting in the parlor, and as usual, he was surrounded by lots of devotees, and Boroma was just walking past him. And I think I have mentioned the story before also, this incident. Then Thakur just asked his devotees, do you know what Boroma is? And they all said that, I'll say this in Bengali. Thakur said, Janish, toder Boroma holo pahari sundari. So what a beautiful comment from Thakur. So just as a mountain, is beautiful, so is Boroma. So Boroma is strong, sturdy, and beautiful like a mountain. However, as there is that aspect of divinity within Boroma, what Thakur meant was not only the beauty that we can see from outside. We all know that Boroma was very beautiful, but it wasn't only the beauty that one can see from outside. It's also her internal self, her inner being. That was also very, very beautiful. And that's why, Thakur says, looking for a woman, looking, moving, laughing, talking, dealing, and behavior with a manner that normally draws regard, reverence, and devotion. And this is again exactly we see in Boromo. I was actually fascinated, when I was reading this message, and every aspect of it, we can see that in Boromo. And finally, we come to the exalting behavior. So the elevating behavior, which Boromo exhibited for everyone. So Boromo's deep tolerance and never-ending patience, her cool, affectionate, loving, and reassuring feeling towards each and every being helped the devotees to find peace in her presence. So we talk about a mother's nurturing, the mother's care, the mother's nourishment. With Boromo, one could actually see or find the true nourishment, the true nurturing that one should actually have towards the children. So one day, Juima, one of the devotees, asked Sree Sree Thakur that is there no such thing as human duty? And Thakur said, do you know the meaning of duty? So what is duty? Thakur said, where there is love, there is duty. So Thakur is saying that where there is love, there is duty. And in Boromo, we actually see this deep sense of love and reverence towards Thakur. So what was actually prominent in Boromo was her nishtha towards the Ishtar. And in this case, we know that Ishtar is Thakur. Her devotion towards Thakur. And there is a Vani message in Nishtha Bidhayoni where Thakur has said, Nishtha mane sammok bhabe lege thaka, ব্যতিক্রমী যা কিছু সবগুলিকে অতিক্রম করে. So I'll just translate this in English. I'll try my best. So it says, stick with untottering adherence. And this is what we see in Boromo. Anything whimsical should be overcome because of her love, her affection, her devotion, her reverence, her untottering adherence towards Thakur. Helped her, to become the divine being that she was. So nishtha holo sottar jiyon kathi o pranon bayu. So devotion is the life stake and breath of life. And I was reading the other day, Borga in one place has said, I can't remember the name of the book, that human life experience the pull towards the ideal. His body or her body, mind, life, it gets nourished from the untottering adherence to his comfort. And this is HIS, the capital HIS. That means to Thakur's comfort, affection, interest, establishment with selflessness service. And that's exactly what we see in Boromo. So it is that, again, that love, that commitment towards Thakur. And it is that nishtha, the devotion, the real, this was almost like a kind of a natural instinct, that Boromo had towards Thakur. So Thakur says, real love doesn't get irritated. It bears and carries its beloved in all respects. So even when Boromo had that severe operation, we know, how the doctors came in and they actually did the operation at home. At that time, there wasn't any sort of anesthesia. So it was all cut and done and bandaged and everything was done at home without any anesthesia. Boromo was in great pain. But even after that, when Thakur asked Boromo to cook the food for the doctors who have come from Kolkata, Boromo didn't give a second thought to it. And that's why Thakur is saying that real love doesn't get irritated. So in a situation like, obviously, nowadays, we will not face a similar situation, but anything that, we think that, it's something that I don't want to do, or it's not possible, immediately we will get irritated. But with Boromo, this never happened. So it bears and carries its beloved in all respects. So when the devotion is so profound, then automatically the other values like loyalty, like obedience, the momentum to serve someone, it comes in. There's a natural flow of it. With Boroma, she didn't need to give any extra effort to do these work because her love was so genuine. It was profound. It was so pure. It was so divine. And if we just contemplate, on the entire situation of the relationship between Boroma and Boroma and Thakur, we know that, there are some incidents, when we know that when Thakur was in one house, I can't remember the name of the place, and Boroma actually guarded Thakur's door the whole night. So she kept away because she thought, that her top priority should be, to guard, to look after Thakur, to take care of him so that no harm happens to him. So all these things, it shows, her fearless nature. She was brave, she was bold, but at the same time, she was humble. I think it is this equilibrium that we see, in Boroma. So they fulfilled each other, Thakur and Boroma. So there are lots of other incidents, sometimes when we read them or when we hear them, we might think oh, well, hang on, these situations might not appear to us now. But what happened 100 years before will not happen here. So what is happening now might not happen in the next 50 years or 70 years later. But what is important is the values. They don't change. What Boroma has shown throughout her life is those important, those absolutely inevitable values that completes, that makes a woman, that actually upholds the womanhood. So with Boroma, we see all these qualities absolutely embedded, and how she followed it, what she did it is absolutely extraordinary. And that divine factor is always within Boroma that we see. The more we read about Boroma, the more we hear about Boroma, we see all these qualities, these human qualities, which are lacking nowadays. If we look at our own life, our own relationships, there are so many gaps and so many flaws, and we give so many excuses. But it is those values, by listening to these stories, what we really need, or what I need to learn is, pick up those values and see how much I can implement based on my circumstance and my situation. Boroma did it. So she has shown us the path. So I'll just end it because I'm conscious of the time. I don't want to take too long. So Thakur says that a dharmic act is that doing by which the being and becoming of yourself and your environment are enhanced in a continuous expansion, pondering, understanding, realizing, and knowing this, speak it out and act it out. And Boroma did exactly this thing. She acted it out. She did it for, obviously, to serve Thakur, but then she did it for us also. So it's that action bit is what we see in Boroma. So that's all that I would like to say today, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. It has absolutely been I felt really blessed to speak about Boroma today. I pray at the lotus feet of Sree Sree Thakur for everyone's well-being. Bande Purushottam, Jai Guru.